Boruto episode 33, the Super Beast Scroll Slump. This episode I thought was pretty cool. We actually get a focus on one of the side characters, Inojin. I like the fact that it focused on one of the side characters. He's one of the characters that, kind of gets a bit more play. I think if it was going to go to, like, really a side character, it would be like Metal Lee. I feel like has nothing outside of the fact that we know he gets nervous. I feel like he's had the least. Denki was basically like the point of the very first episode. Iwabe has had some stuff, especially during the arc. And Shikadai and Inojin just are like the two dudes who happen to get a lot of attention. Excuse me, because they hang out with Boruto. Metal I feel like has like the least amount of attention, but we actually do get some backstory. I think Shikadai even had some elements too. Like we got to see him at his home, which was a great moment. Whatever episode that was, I think it was during the Naruto becoming Hokage episode. I think it was like one of the parts of that. But even he's at something. So Inojin finally gets his moment, and I thought it was pretty cool. It's him going through the realization that he kind of has to put heart and soul into his drawings in order to use the Super Beast Scroll technique, which I thought was pretty cool. We do actually get to see him do the mind transfer jutsu, and I mentioned in my last review that it seemed like during the promo he did it and he didn't pass out, but that was not the case because that was just like the moment he did it. But of course, in the actual episode, he still passes out. It's still the normal technique. Unfortunately, because he doesn't ever use it, he takes over Iwabe's mind for like almost a minute, and that was it. Like he turns around and smiles and it's like cool, and then it's like oh crap, and then he of course transfers back to his body because he doesn't really know how to infuse his chakra like that. So they get completely whipped up with Metal, Iwabe, and Denki on a team, which I think is very interesting. We get to see them as the three-man squad, so that is like canon going forward. They are that three-man squad. So we'll see, how that ends up playing out a little bit later during the Chunin exams and everything. But we get to see the current Shikachou team go up against the three of them, and because Inojin can't use his Super V Scroll technique, they kind of get screwed over. Like that's what they typically prepare for. That's how they train during combat, which we actually had a pretty cool training sequence with Chocho doing the expansion jutsu and Choji going up against her and against Shikadai as well as Inojin. And I thought that was awesome. Like they're going up against each other and they both do expansion jutsu. And Choji's like, if you aren't stronger, there's no way you're gonna beat me. And Shikadai hits him with the shadow possession jutsu, and he's like, okay. And then he just expands his whole body to like disrupt the shadow and like break the ground. And I was like, that was actually a really cool technique. And then he just launches his daughter through the sky, which I thought just looked funny. But I love that. I was like, that was actually kind of cool. And of course, that's when it kind of really kicks off with Inojin not being able to do his technique with like all the copies and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. But of course it goes throughout the episode and he's like, I don't understand what's happening. Sai is being as vague as usual, hardly saying anything, or is like, I think he should figure it out for himself. And eventually he does. Ultimately Sai does come up with some good ideas to actually help his son figure it out on his own. Because I was like, I feel like, with it being Sai especially, him not saying anything is just going to lead to his son not figuring it out. But he goes to these lessons like, hey, maybe you should compete in this art contest. And Himawari is the one who ended up winning, which I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit on Shikadai's side. I was like, I don't know. I mean, Naruto's daughter, and that was a kid's drawing. It was cute, but I mean, Inojin like sculpted a masterpiece, and she just did like a very disproportionate drawing of herself and her father. And it's like cute for sure, very cute. I don't know though. But that was a funny scene. I was like, why did he do this whole event just to brag about his daughter? But they go through the episode, and once again, Jin's trying to figure out everything that's going on. Sai, oddly enough, ends up being his teacher for a little bit, and it's like, this wasn't really planned, it just happened to be that way. But he decides to bring in Himawari to try to help teach his son that it has to come from the heart, and stuff like that. And so, Inojin has a moment with Ino where she kind of helps him out a little bit, and like he pulls out, he's talking about how he couldn't draw and stuff, he pulls out a really old drawing. And she's like, don't you remember how happy your father was when you showed him that? And he's like, really? And, little stuff like that he starts to pick up on. And so he asks Boruto to help him out and talk to Himawari so that Himawari can be like his teacher for a little. And it was pretty awesome. It was, very simple. And they go through this process of him trying to learn, and he, tries to use Super Beast Scroll. That ends up creating like this insanely magical draft that sent the paper perfectly flying as if they folded it into an airplane. Flies all the way out to the little river that they got, or I guess technically it's like more of a sewer system. But right before it's about to hit the water, Inojin finally realizes what the difference is between Himura is drawing and the ones that he'd been doing as of late. And it's the fact that there's emotion and heart in the drawing that she had. That's where he was just doing it to be like, all right, this is my technique, boom. Or he just drew it just to be like, I'll just draw a really great piece and I'll win. So he finally realized it. He draws this bird like, you know, super fast. He's able to swoop in, grab the picture before it hits the water, which, I mean, with the way it was done, I mean, he was moving as fast as the Flash, wasn't he? Because he drew a bird and it flew from where they were to the middle of the water, because Boruto was hardly there, but the bird he was able to draw, get on the bird, fly in, grab it at the last second. Everything's all said and done, and he finally learns the lesson. Like, this is what it needed. It needed heart and soul. It needed my emotions to be through the technique in order for it to actually, you know, work out. So I thought that was pretty cool. Love the scene where he does bring Himura's drawing to life, like the way they did the animation where it does look like crayon and it's like very 2D in the way they're moving and stuff. I was like, that's actually kind of awesome to see the two different art styles kind of on the screen at the same time. So I did love that little moment just for the visuals of it. But it was definitely a good episode. Certainly a filler episode, but it was a filler with some good development, and you know, it's something that's never really been a part of that technique, especially coming from sides. Like, almost the craziest thing that's where the heart of the technique comes from, is the weight and emotion. But at the same time, it makes sense for his character because he was always hiding his emotions, but they were always there. Like him having that book about him and his brother from Shippuden. So it was like he definitely had emotion within him, but it was always hidden to the rest of the world. So it's kind of funny that that is the heart of the technique, is truly putting your emotions and passion into what you draw. So definitely awesome. Love the way it ended. You know, everything worked out fine. Outside of the fact that Himura's drawings technically, after after Inojin did the Super B scroll, they disappeared and didn't go back to the drawing. So I thought that was interesting. He can take stuff out of actual drawings, but once they disappear, like his normal B scrolls, they legitimately just disappear. They don't go back to the actual drawing itself. So it's just like white spots where the characters were in some of the flower petals. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's something I've never thought about before, with them pulling, you know, like pulling the characters from other people's drawings. It almost makes me wonder if they can do it from pictures too, because it was just like, huh, I feel like I mean, Naruto has 100 million episodes. I feel like it's probably been done before, and I just don't remember. But seeing it in this episode, I was like, oh, that's actually super cool. Like, I never thought of that. But really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. It seems like we're heading closer and closer. You know, like the whole point of the promo seemed to be like the graduation and, you know, the tuning exams, everybody training really hard. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking that episode out, and, you know, maybe getting a gauge on how close we truly are to the Boruto movie arc, because I'm kind of just waiting for that to happen, and then we get to like some of the manga stuff. But definitely a fun episode, some good character development, even if it didn't expand like the overall arcing story of the series. Definitely some good development for Inojin, so I really enjoyed it. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I definitely want to know what you guys thought about Inojin's progress in this episode. Did it interest you? Did it not interest you? Did you just not care because he's a side character? Not care because, you know, technically it's a filler episode? I just want to know what you guys thought about his journey, which pretty much is the episode in general. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.